So we have 300,000 pre-built integrations in our ecosystem. So if you come in and you're a HubSpot user who uses Airtable, that loves using Google Drive, and you want to connect that with Chat and Gemini, you can do all of that in one place. You don't need to write a single line of code. So our kind of USP is everybody has 1,000 brilliant ideas. Up until recently, you haven't been able to bring them to life because maybe there's a technical gap or a knowledge gap or a skill gap. We're trying to eliminate all those gaps so that everybody can become an innovator through artificial intelligence.
To watch this episode live, go to our YouTube channel or go to kuhne.no. That's Kuhne.no.
Welcome back, everyone. And if you thought we were not going to talk about AI today, you were wrong. Because today we have SmythOS CMO, that means Chief Marketing Officer, Michael Walker with us. And we're going to talk through their fascinating product, how you can use it, how they market it, some of the challenges in that market, and just a general discussion to get to know Michael a little bit better and this fantastic AI platform. So, Michael, great to have you with us.
Thank you, Nick. It's a pleasure to be here. I appreciate you having me.
Now, trying to sell AI platforms and AI products in this market, I mean, if we look back in the .com era, everyone needed a website. Everything had to have a .com, because if you add a .com at the end of it, you could add a couple of zeros onto your valuation. And the same thing is happening now in this whole AI space. And I think, and this is my personal opinion, that the first movers in this space are obviously going to do the best. So if you're too late, so if you come into this, if you're 6 months later or a year later, you probably are out of luck. Let's talk about first about SmythOS, what it is, who can use it, and then we'll get into a little bit more detail about you, Michael.
Yeah, of course. And I'm right there with you, by the way. That's the analogy I usually give, is saying AI right now is like saying internet marketing a couple of decades ago. You used to be able to just say internet marketing. Now it's a whole, so many disciplines underneath. But yeah, at SmythOS, we are an AI orchestration platform. So we're really one of the first AI operating systems where you can bring all of your web applications, large language models, AI tools into one place and build anything from simple to the most complex workflow. So if you think of it a little bit like a Zapier that can connect any of your web applications with any AI applications or large language models, that's SmythOS. So the biggest differentiator, I would say, between us and some other similar offerings out there is we're totally no code. So we're trying to really what we call democratize AI so that someone without a development background like myself can go into Smith and start building agents for anything from SEO to AI SDRs and content creation and brand messaging, whatever it may be. So that's the high level version.
I think that's the right space to be in, because I think people are expecting no code. ChatGPT has given us no code. I remember I was working in Malaysia and we set up a data science company, and the future was having as many data scientists as you could, doing Python, doing Ruby, doing R, doing whatever you could think about. And I think we've almost bypassed that, where yes, you do need data scientists for specific tasks, but these big platforms like ChatGPT and whichever other one you're going to use need to start generating cash money. They were quite fun in the beginning, and people know they should be making money out of AI, but they can't do it. How does SmythOS help a business who doesn't have data scientists, doesn't have this technical know-how to get going and start using AI? Do you have to have a concept? Do you need to know a certain amount of code? What sort of onboarding, what sort of help does SmythOS give?
Yeah, the answer is actually in the question, which is the reason we're able to have so much success early is you don't have to have any of those things. So to take a step back, traditionally speaking, let's say from 2022 to now, so let's say we'll say pre-ChatGPT or pre-OpenAI and post-OpenAI. Pre-OpenAI, there were conversations around AI, but it was like a future state, right? We can be here one day and here are the things you can do. And it was more an academic and a research field for 99% of businesses and marketers, right? There weren't too many tools that were out there. We were actually one of them. So we had a predecessor Gen AI tool before OpenAI, and we were almost a direct competitor to another Gen AI tool called Jasper. Most marketers listening are probably familiar with Jasper. We were a very similar tool, but specifically for the SEO space. We had a lot of early traction. We did pretty well right up until OpenAI launched ChatGPT, right? And then that just ended, like for many Gen AI companies, it just put an end to any future in the Gen AI space. So we kind of looked at that and said, what does the future of AI really look like? And it's kind of like some of the oldest advice in the world. During the gold rush, sell shovels, right? Don't go out searching for the gold. And so we said, hey, we see a future where companies are going to build all kinds of these Gen AI tools. They're going to have their own models that are trained. There's going to be specialized AI solutions. Like now you see conversational AI and that sort of thing. We knew that these types of companies and solutions were going to exist. What didn't exist in the marketplace was a true operating system where you could bring all of that, where an enterprise company could bring their fine-tuned models through AWS and Amazon Bedrock, or a startup could bring their HubSpot instance to their Hootsuite, to their favorite email sending platform, empower all of that with whatever their chosen large language model is, right? Like a ChatGPT or a Anthropic Claude. That's what we set out to build. So we spent the last couple of years building a platform where Nicholas or Michael or any marketer can bring all the tools they already know and love and combine them with the power of any of their favorite large language models and bring that into one place without the need to develop all their own APIs, all their own API calls and endpoints. We handle kind of all of that for that. So we have 300,000 pre-built integrations in our ecosystem. So if you come in and you're a HubSpot user who uses Airtable, that loves using Google Drive, and you want to connect that with Chat and Gemini, you can do all of that in one place. You don't need to write a single line of code. So our kind of USP is everybody has 1,000 brilliant ideas. Up until recently, you haven't been able to bring them to life because maybe there's a technical gap or a knowledge gap or a skill gap. We're trying to eliminate all those gaps so that everybody can become an innovator through artificial intelligence.
One of the bottlenecks that I found in companies that try to be a Zapier almost is getting those integrations and having those APIs and having those relationships, because you can't just get a HubSpot API onto your system. You can't just go to Microsoft and say, give me AWS or to AWS, etc., and say, hey, give me these codes. You've got to have quite strong relationships in the market, and they've got to also believe that you've got a product that is actually useful to the market. Maybe, and if I'm wrong or not, but part of your job surely has to be to engage with some of these larger partners and say, hey, get on board. What can we do together? Is that part of your job? Is that something that you get involved in?
It is. And we're very lucky in that we have a very close relationship with a large group who owns a lot of the sort of platinum level consulting companies. So your AWS specialists or your Vertex specialists, which is Google. So we work directly with them and their teams and say, what are the integrations that your customers need? And they're servicing the Fortune 100s, the Fortune 500 companies. And they're saying, hey, we need to be able to utilize a Bedrock integration to use these models and connect to these integrations. So we're able to work with those partners directly through their partnerships with these the Amazons and the Googles of the world, and then build the integrations for them, and they can go out and distribute them to their existing client base. So we really focused on that strategic partnership positioning early on, because we knew that not only would we need those existing kind of relationships to be able to build upon, but we needed the knowledge, right? Like what needs to be built. One of the biggest mistakes that any tech company makes is they just put their head in the sand and start building, right? And after they've spent millions of dollars and months or sometimes years, they realize, wait, actually what we've built isn't what people actually want and need in the marketplace. So we knew that the feedback loop is really important, not just from a marketing perspective, but from a product development and a roadmap perspective. So utilizing those partnerships early on has really been a significant advantage of ours. And I think it's helped us to see a lot of our big wins early on in the market.
Marketing an AI company or an AI integrator like you've got, I'm not sure what the right term is for what your exact platform is called, but marketing that must be relatively tough. It's obviously all cloud-based AI platforms. The balance of face-to-face meetings versus selling your product online in terms of emails, adverts, etc., what does that look like? How do you sell an AI company's products?
The first thing is truly understanding who your market is. So we service both enterprises and the mid-market and even some SMBs. So agencies is a tremendous area of opportunity for us. That's where we had a lot of our early adopters, because I come from an agency background myself. Agencies want to stay in the forefront of advancing technology. It's extremely competitive arena, so you have to have a competitive differentiator. AI right now is almost like a must if you're an agency. Even if you don't actually use it, being able to speak to it and how to adapt it and understanding it is really important. So each one of those is different, right? So for example, if you're targeting developers of an enterprise company, you're never going to win them through advertising, right? It's just, it doesn't happen in the enterprise development space. And in fact, you could probably do more harm than good trying to run ads to developers in that space. Whereas agencies are very different. At least for me, I'm much more receptive to advertising because as a marketer myself, I know, okay, the targeting's here for a reason. The algorithms found me for a reason. Let me take a look and see if this fits my needs. So they're very different approaches. So for mid-market and agencies, advertising can work quite well. Whereas on the enterprise side and the developer side, that's much more about building a community, right? So people, especially in the developer market, they're going to take their cues from other developers, right? Hey, what have you tried? I'm trying this tool. How do you find it? What did you think about this? And they kind of competitions with themselves, what they can build at home with these new tools and discovering. So getting in with that community is really important from the forefront. And that's, different forums and working with the right people in the space, putting out the right types of content, which is video and instructional rather than promotional. And then you have your sort of general, let's call it SMBs. These are your small businesses, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs. All they care about is solving specific problems. They don't really care how you do it. They don't really care what mode that takes. But hey, if I can solve problem A today, I can 2x my revenue or 3x my revenue. So I just really want the solution for that. And that's much more of like direct response type advertising, right? I know you're facing this problem. Here's the solution to your problem. We can help you get there. So it really just comes down to understanding who you're targeting and then what problems that each of those audiences are facing on a daily basis, and then engage with them in the medium and the format that they're most receptive. So I'd say it's marketing 101, but obviously the devil's in the details there.
I was going to say that. So even though it's AI, even though there's ChatGPT, it still goes back to the basics of marketing 101.
Yeah,
absolutely. Now, for you, what is the most? You came from an agency. Agencies are cool. They have their ups and downs, new clients, etc. What excited you about SmythOS, and what made you want to join these guys versus going to one of the other ad agencies? It's probably, more structured, slightly simpler, and more exciting in terms of name recognition.
It was a tough call, actually, because the agency that I was running previously is called the AI agency. Super creative name, but we were already in the space for some time. My background is all in early stage software companies, some SaaS, some B2B tech, but I've been a part of 6 different companies, all that have exited successfully, 5 acquisitions and 1 IPO. So I understand tech, I understand the startup world. So I'd been running my own agency for close to 7 years. 2 of those, or close to 2 of those now, was spent working with the team that is now SmythOS. Getting to know them over this period of time, we were all working together when We saw what the whole world saw with OpenAI, which was 100 million users in 30 days. And we all came together and said, okay, they've got the technical expertise. They had a vision for a product that I believed in wholeheartedly more than any company I've been a part of. Like when they laid out the vision, I said, I can see this. And every bit of what they laid out 2 years ago has really come to fruition. And I had the marketing experience. You know, I knew how to bring a company to market. I knew how to go through, whether it's funding or raising funds or looking to exit, whatever you may be looking for. I've kind of been through that process before. So it was a combination of the right team, really being alive at the right time in history, to be honest. I mean, I think this is probably the luckiest period that we could be marketers, right? Going through this AI revolution. So it was the team, it was timing, and then it was obviously opportunity in the market. Like it's very rare for marketers that we have a chance to go into such a wide open market with so much upside. It's different from crypto or NFTs or what you saw in 2020. Like this is a real, it's as supported by the academic community and the enterprise community as it is in the startup venture world. I mean, look at the numbers you see thrown around. Ilya, the co-founder of OpenAI, just raised $1 billion for his startup, Super Intelligence, I think it's called, at a $5 billion valuation pre-revenue. I mean, these are unheard of numbers.
The .com numbers.
Exactly. So, having missed the boat previously, I was in one startup called ZipRecruiter. I was an early employee there, and I left before all of my options had vested, and I said, I'm not going to make that mistake again. Here's another opportunity to capitalize. So here I am.
It is definitely an exciting time. Now, let's get people excited about some of the opportunities about using SmythOS. You spoke about enterprise. Enterprise, that's quite a long process to work with these guys. With the SMBs, that's slightly quicker. But they've got less cash, obviously. So those aren't as desirable. But you can get some good case studies out of them. What exciting things do you think are going to come out of SmythOS? What kind of, you don't have to give away, specific trade secrets in that, but is there health tech? Is it MarTech? Or is it just dating apps? And is it, food delivery? Is it things that are actually some exciting things that you think are revolutionary in the market? Or are people just taking .com and sticking it onto an AI platform? Because that's typically what happens.
Many people are. So to your audience in particular, marketers who I know and love very well, I would just caution, there's a lot of that, right? And again, I'll go back to the crypto market a few years ago when everybody was an NFT company or a crypto company. There is a lot of what I call just wrappers, right? You take OpenAI, the ChatGPT model, you put a wrapper around it and brand it, give it a couple of prompts, and now you're an AI company. You might be a AI customer service company or that sort of thing. What I would say, though, is there's serious opportunity to the likes that in my lifetime I've never seen before in revenue potential, but also just pure expansion for existing businesses. If you're a marketing agency today, and I don't know if people have read this study by Gartner, the biggest revenue opportunity in 2024 from AI isn't from any of the AI companies themselves. It's from consulting. It's McKinsey, right? It's Deloitte. It's them being able to offer those AI consulting services into their business where they may have had a client who they've done everything they could offer previously. They've maxed out their billable hours. Now all of a sudden AI comes to the table, right? Every enterprise wants to adopt it. Every mid-sized company wants to stay ahead of competition. They need people they can trust to help guide them through this adoption of AI. That's where the potential is. So if you're a marketing agency today, you focus on demand generation or paid advertising, SEO, it really doesn't matter. Your clients today are asking themselves, how do we adopt artificial intelligence in a safe way, in a conscious way, and in a way that protects us and our customers' data and security? They need experts who can answer those questions. So you can be the people who answer them today, or they're going to find a consultant or go to one of the big firms who can help them answer because they know they can't afford not to adopt it. So that's the potential today. One of the ways we address that through SmythOS is we've launched a agent engineer certification program. So again, we're a no-code platform. anybody, I have my SEO team going through it. Everyone on our marketing team is going through it and becoming AI engineer certified. So you can go in and start building your own agents, right? You don't need to be able to code or request something from your technical team. Number two is we've launched a partner and reseller program where we bring agencies on board, take them through the certifications, teach them about the platform, how to position it, how to sell to certain industries, certain verticals. And then we have a revenue split on all the platforms so that, again, if you're an agency, you don't have to create technology or whip up the startup. You can come to a company like ours, like Smith, use that technology as part of your tool belt, offer that as a value add to your current or future clients.
So from a revenue perspective for SmythOS, obviously you need to make cash from the onset. What is the growth been for you guys, and where do you see yourselves in the next year? I'm not even going to say 18 months because that's like dog years now in this AI world we're living in. So what does the outlook look for you guys? Are you just Europe? Are you the US? Are you expanding all over? What's the plan?
World domination. I don't know if you expected the different one. It's world domination. But we've seen month over month, over the last 4 months, we've seen on average 400% growth, both in user base as well as technology adoption.
Numbers.
Yeah, rookie numbers. Meaning people don't just sign up for the platform, they're actually using it. They're creating agents. So the hardest part for us was because we're early in the market, that has its advantages, but at the same time, you have the disadvantage of you know how to educate the market, right? There's a whole educational awareness piece that you're responsible for going out and not only doing solution awareness, but problem awareness. We knew that really well going into this. So we spend a lot of time creating educational content, intro courses, small level courses, so that we can not only educate our end users, but our partners as well as any individual. So we see a big social responsibility being a leader in the AI space to make sure that everyone's equipped, if they have the drive and desire, to not be at risk of being replaced or their job being replaced, but instead using AI to augment their current professional capability. So I think because we focused on all these areas and not just on our end users or on businesses, we've been able to develop an entire ecosystem where everybody benefits, right? And no one's left out. And I think that while it took a lot more upfront effort and consideration on our part, it's paid off tenfold coming back.
That's such a great answer. When you're talking about a new product, being a leader in the market, you've got to do all of that education, and you can't actually afford to do that. And this is where your partner network comes in. So making sure you've got certified partners who go out and do this sort of network effect is the only way to do it. Otherwise, you'll have 1,000 customer care people and have to have an entire division of people making content every day. But that's how, if you look at HubSpot, how they've managed to do so exceptionally well, especially in the SMB side, is they create such fantastic content and they make you go back and back and back because they're constantly updating their content. But that means you're a content factory and half your day is just going to be generating content, and that's quite painful. So it sounds very exciting. But what I want to know, my last sort of question to you is, what kind of exciting things have people using SmythOS? Because as I mentioned, yes, there's revenue generation, there's SEO, there's chatbots, there's things. What is your vision for SmythOS? Is it going to be business as usual, like you mentioned, you spoke about rappers, or are we going to have the next, is SpaceX going to be run off of this? Will there be new companies, new health tech, etc.? How big can this scale, and what is your vision for, who would your dream client be or new business be on this? Because I want to think new industries. We can't just do the same old industries. What is the new industry that is going to be spawned from using SmythOS?
So I have my professional opinion and personal opinion on this one. I'll give
personal opinion going.
Yeah, I'll give you the personal one first. I actually think it's going to be, and this might sound a bit overly optimistic, I think if done right, AI can bring about almost kind of a second renaissance for humanity, whereas all of the technical and mundane is handled by technology, right? Bookkeeping, data analysis, automation, even advertising, all of these things can be done by AI, which frees us up to spend more time on the humanities, creating creative endeavors, critical thinking and problem solving, spending more time in the empathetic areas of living, right? I actually think we're going to see a big resurgence there, and the humanities is going to explode. Things like art and poetry and film, because all of the things that tie us down today can be automated. So you don't have to spend 8 hours of your day in the office to get the paycheck, and you keep putting aside the canvas in your garage that you've been wanting to paint for the last 3 years. You're going to be able to do that. So I think we'll see an explosion there. On the business side, professionally speaking, I see a future where, and this is what we're building with SmythOS now, all of your work is done inside of this kind of virtual operating system. So we're very close to the point where we'll be releasing this by the end of the month, where you can not only build your agents inside of Smith, you can chat with them right there as if you're using Slack and talking to a team. So I can come to my computer in the morning, set a work schedule for all of my virtual agents and say, hey, let's create a campaign today for this fintech client that we have. They're already trained on what they need to do. So agent A will know I need to go do research, keyword research, create the content plan, and hand it to agent B that's going to then write the content, edit it, and publish it, and hand it to content or agent C who's going to create a social media campaign and advertisements. So everything will be done from one single operating system. You communicate with your agents just like you communicate with people. It doesn't remove that humanity effect. It actually embraces it. It makes the AI kind of more personable while it's able to run 24/7, 365, so that you and I can be free to debate politics down at the pub or whatever you'd prefer to spend your time doing.
Well, it sounds like you're going to irritate a lot of legacy companies, because that immediately sounds like Adobe is going to be crying into their soup. Microsoft with their products as well, because they're trying to integrate. You've got that awful Google Gemini, which is absolutely the worst thing I've ever used. Absolutely, and I've paid for it as well. I'm very, very ashamed to say, to try it out. It was an abomination. So they're not
trying to as well. I tried to purchase, I don't know if you saw Google Duet AI, which is supposed to be Workforce's AI, and had the same issues. So you're not alone.
It was impossible to use across all of my platforms. The idea is there, but half-baked, because they're too big. There's just too much. And this is why I love companies like yours. So a couple of awesome, insightful things there. I agree with you in terms of the humanity side. The only issue, and this is a separate discussion and we won't do it because we're talking about your business as well, is that this is great for countries that have really got infrastructure, that have got well-paying jobs. You're in Sweden, I'm in Norway. Give me extra hours. Awesome. But Africa, Asia, where people need jobs and things to keep them in an office so they get paid, these kind of advances in the industry are going to have a huge negative effect, or not negative effect, but it's going to shore up these differences between the haves and have-nots. And that's something that obviously we need to, as a society, keep an eye on. But Michael, on that happy note, where can I send folks to learn a little bit more about SmythOS and perhaps yourself as well?
Yeah, go to smythos.com, smythos.com. I would say start in the academy. It's completely free. We take people from the very beginning, the intro, which is what is an AI agent? What are large language models? What is AI orchestration? Kind of all the foundations, all the way through our engineering certification program where you can actually learn to build agents. That way, whether you use Smith or another platform, it's like a CRM. Once you know how to use one, you can use others. And so to your jovial point at the end there, that's what we're working on there. I think if we can equip everybody with these academy resources, then it levels the playing field a little bit. So smythos.com is a great starting point. If anyone's interested in reaching out to me personally, they can find me on LinkedIn.
Awesome. Well, Michael, what a treat. We'll have to have an Earl or perhaps an akkeviet at some stage if you come to Oslo. So it's been fantastic chatting to you, and I'm super excited about this space. But listeners, it's up to you to take all of this amazing AI technology and platforms and do something with it. And I'll be talking about something called creative data science on a later show. We will be discussing how do we come up with ideas to apply onto platforms like SmythOS. Michael, thank you.
Thank you, Nicholas. I appreciate it.